Hi everyone, I'm Logan and welcome to my channel. So today I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my experience going to the European Cetacean Society conference in Catania. So a little bit on the European Cetacean Society. They focus on promoting and advancing scientific studies and also supporting conservation efforts for marine mammals around the world, with more of a specific focus on European cetaceans. And each year they hold a conference around Easter time in different places in Europe to talk about the latest research that has been conducted around Europe or elsewhere in the world. So the conference lasts 3 days and there are 2 days of workshops before the conference as well. I thought I'd do a day-by-day recap. I made a bunch of notes throughout the conference and I also took a bunch of videos and photos, which I'll include in this video as well, so you can see a bit of Catania and also what the conference looks like. So for me, I actually went to the conference as a student volunteer, which is really nice because you just spend about a third of your time volunteering at the conference and the rest of the time you just get to enjoy it, listen to the people talking, meeting people as well. And as a student volunteer, you do get to go to the conference for free, which is another benefit of it. On my first day, I traveled to Catania on a Sunday. I just got an EasyJet flight over. I always love looking out the window and it was absolutely beautiful. I got to see some of the Mediterranean Sea and the coast of Italy as well. You can see Mount Etna, which is an active volcano. I have been to Catania before previously and I actually have climbed Mount Etna and done a few things in the area, so it was nice going back to a city that I'm familiar with. Once I got there, I checked into my hotel or bed and breakfast, which was really nice, and the people there were really lovely. And then I went to meet up with some of the other student volunteers. There I got to meet people from all around Europe. I also met a few people from Central America as well. And I also got to try some Sicilian food as well, which was lovely. So on the Monday was the first day of workshops, and although I didn't have any workshops on this day, I did do some volunteering in the afternoon, but I'll get around to that in a minute. So because I actually had the morning off, I decided to do a little bit of exploring, and I actually went to the beach, which was really nice because it's been a while since I've been able to go to the beach and near the ocean and just soak up the sun, and you can get a really nice view of Etna as well. So I just sat there and did some reading before heading back to my B&B before the UV got too high. I hung out at my B&B for a bit before making my way over to one of the places where the workshop's being held, as I was helping with registrations. I got some lunch along the way, and then once I got there, I got my volunteer shirt and my volunteer badge, and I just helped to register people for the conference, giving them their badge and a lanyard, as well as giving them some information about the conference. We also had maps of Catania as well that we were giving out, so people were familiar with the city and didn't get lost. In the evening, I just got myself a pizza from a place that I've gotten it before. I did get a couple pizzas there over the time that I was here. And then I just relaxed in the evening and I just did some editing. On the second day of the conference, I actually had 2 workshops that day, which were both very fascinating. So I've actually made notes throughout the entire conference and also my workshops as well. So I'll be using this to kind of help me out in telling you guys what I did. So the first workshop of the day was management of cumulative underwater noise. So this workshop focused on how to manage the level of noise in special areas of conservation, which are areas that are protected for certain species during different times of the year. So the example we used for this workshop was the harbor porpoise. So after that workshop ended, I ended up going to a garden area to eat my lunch. I had some leftover pizza from the day before and I packed a container, so I just ate that whilst enjoying the sun and the sceneries around. I also checked out a little market as well before going back for my second workshop. So my second workshop was an Azkaban's workshop, which focused on the recreational disturbances which small cetaceans face. And this workshop focused on finding key hotspot areas where there is a lot of human activities occurring and how these potentially impact cetaceans. So we had a few different presenters who gave different case study examples and kind of gave us some up-to-date research and their findings. The main focus was on marine traffic, which I found interesting because my master's dissertation is also focusing on marine traffic. And it was great because there ended up being a group discussion at the end where a lot of people contributed their thoughts and also gave a few examples of places where they work and where they research and what are the current disturbances which cetaceans are facing in their area. So now on to the actual conference. So on the first day of the conference, we had the opening ceremony in the morning before having our first guest speaker talk to us about conservation of different cetacean species around the world. Frances Gulland was the first keynote speaker, and she did a really fascinating talk discussing the differences in conservation approaches for 3 different species: the vaquita, a river dolphin species, and the North Atlantic right whale. Then throughout the day, we got to hear people either doing some longer talks, which were about 12 minutes, or short talks, which were 4 minutes. And these focused on conservation and the impacts of human activities, which were all very interesting to listen to. I then did some volunteering in the afternoon, but part of my volunteering shift was actually within the conference room, so I was still able to listen to the talks. I just had to make sure that I was checking people's badges as they were coming into the conference room. Overall, I feel like I learned so much on this day, and it was really fascinating to hear what are some of the new conservation efforts for species that are being implemented, and also the efforts of reducing the impacts of human activities, specifically focusing on marine traffic, noise, and also fisheries as well. So a lot of talks focused on bycatch and how we can reduce bycatch and entanglement in fishing gear, which were all very fascinating. Then that evening, I just got myself some dinner, and then I went to the student party in the evening, which was a lot of fun. I wasn't originally going to go, but I decided kind of last minute to go, and it was really fun. I ended up meeting some really nice people, but overall, it was a really great evening. For the second day of the conference, the morning started out with our second keynote speaker, Bruno Cozzi, who talked about welfare of cetaceans. So he mainly focused on dolphin and whale anatomy, which this isn't an area which I personally have very much experience in or knowledge in, so it was really fascinating to learn more about the welfare of cetaceans. Then in the morning, there were more talks on the anatomy and physiology of cetaceans and marine mammals, and then there was also some talks on the health and welfare of cetaceans as well. Then after a bit of a break, there was a section talking about acoustics, which was really fascinating. And some of my favorite talks were looking at using acoustic methods to try and monitor fin whales in the Mediterranean, and also looking at signature and non-signature whistles of dolphins. In the afternoon, there were some talks on genetics and evolution. Then that evening, it was a generally chill evening. I just went out and got myself some dinner. I had a carbonara, which was very lovely. But it was an overall quite a chill evening. I was quite tired from the night before and also just having a few long days that I thought I should maybe just have a relaxing evening just to gain my energy for the last day of the conference. So on the Friday was the third and last day of the conference. So the morning started out with another keynote speaker talking, which was Philip Hammond, and he discussed the importance of long-term studies of cetacean populations. He gave a few examples of current long-term studies which are occurring, looking at cetacean populations all around the UK and Europe. And it was very fascinating to learn about the differences between them, because some long-term studies, it might be that they're going out every few years to collect data, whilst other studies, they're either doing it monthly or yearly as well. Then following his talk, there were more kind of short and longer talks on the ecology and habitat use of cetaceans, which is definitely an area that I'm interested in. So I kind of sat and took it all in. I didn't make too many notes just because I wanted to listen and really just absorb as much of the information as possible. And then afterwards, there were also some talks on ecological modeling, which is another area of interest to me. And it's actually what I was doing for my dissertation and what I hope to focus on in the future a bit more. Then after the lunch break, we had some talks on behavior as well, which I haven't done too much work in cetacean behavior, but it's definitely an area that I would like to expand my knowledge in. Also, another thing throughout the conference is that there were poster sessions as well. So these poster sessions are opportunities for people to talk about their research. There were over 300 posters that you could look at, and so those were really fascinating to go around and talk to people about what research they're doing, and it was also a great way to meet people as well. So next year's ECS conference is going to be in the Azores, which is so exciting. Everybody was like screaming and cheering once that was revealed, and I think we're all very excited for the conference next year. So I personally really enjoyed going to this conference. It was my first time and it was a bit overwhelming because if you're going into it not really knowing many people, it can be a bit tough, but everybody there was so nice. And over time you do feel a little bit more comfortable as time goes on, as you do get to meet more people. And it's a great way to learn more about the field with more specific focus on cetaceans or just marine mammals, which are definitely the animals which I would like to personally focus on and research. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do have any questions about the ECS or Catania, put them in the comment section down below and I'll happily answer them. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you guys in the next video.